indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have Marge Klein on the remote session with us. Can you hear me okay, Marge?
Loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we have something of a regular agenda to get through before we go into our retreat. So we begin with a public comment period. The Board of Education welcomes district residents, parents, students, and other people to our meeting. Community involvement at board meetings is encouraged so that we can better understand your views. Please be aware that individual student information or particular personnel issues will not be discussed by this board during public session. When recognized by the board president, please state your name and address. Statements are restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes, and speakers will be notified by the board president when their time has expired. When speaking, the public shall direct their comments to the board and not to district staff or other audience members. Speakers shall not expect board members to answer questions during public comment. Questions shall be referred to the superintendent or his or her designee for review, study, and response. If appropriate, the board may request the issue be a discussion item at a future Board of Education meeting or Board of Education committee meeting. Is anybody from the public who would wish to address the board at this time? Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on to our consent agenda. In an effort to expedite the business of the Board of Education, but in no way is meant to diminish the importance of each item, a consent agenda may be used for the items in this section. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any one board member. Items not removed will be adopted by general consent without debate. Any removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of the board. So, with that, I am looking for a motion to approve the following items as consent agenda. That would be section 3, item B, which is consent action personnel. So we have a few resignations and some miscellaneous creations, adjustments, and appointments. And I get a motion. Art, can I get a second? Joelle? Any discussion?
Creation of the positions are right in accordance with the budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we acknowledge if any of the people were here that are being connected?
In this particular list, there are none.
Okay.
That comes a little later in the agenda. Okay, do you have any further questions or comments? I will move to vote. All those in favor of acceptance of the consent agenda, please raise your hand. Okay, Marge has raised her hand in favor, and we are unanimous. So, action items, business. We have the extension of the contract for transportation of pupils, extracurricular, field trips, and sports events. This is resolution adopted in December, by resolution adopted in December of 2021. The Board of Education awarded a contract for transportation of school district students for extracurricular field trips and sports events and ground transportation for a period that terminated on June 30th, 2022. And the Greater Johnstown School District continues to have a need for transportation and is in the best interest of the district to continue its contract with ground. Therefore, it should be resolved that the Board of Education hereby extends the aforesaid contract for transportation of Greater Johnstown School District students for extracurricular field trips and sporting events with ground transportation SDA at the proposed rate of $89.42 per hour for large buses, $78.25 per hour for small buses for the period of August 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Can I get a motion to accept that? Ron, second? Jen? Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, Marge has raised her hand in favor, so we're unanimous. Next item is the capital outlay project approval for Pleasant Avenue Elementary and Knox Middle School oil tank removal. This is the result that the Board of Ed hereby approves the scope of work for the 23-24 capital outlay budget project consisting of the removal of the Pleasant Avenue Elementary School and Knox Middle School, formerly known as the Knox Building and/or Knox Junior High, underground oil tanks and associated piping and boiler room equipment and other work, with such funding which is already included in the approved 23-24 school budget. The board authorizes the project to be submitted to the State Education Department for approval, and be it further resolved, the Board of Education acknowledges the above work will be performed under the $100,000 budget allocation for such work in the 23-24 budget approved by the voters in May 2023, based on public presentations, including a public budget hearing prior to the May 23 budget vote. I get a motion to accept the capital outlay project. Will, do I have a second? Ron? Any discussion?
Yes, this is just to let the board know, this has already been approved by the public, but in our budget newsletter, it wasn't exactly spelled out this way, so it's important to have the public acknowledgement that this is the work that we'll be doing. Under that capital.
All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Marge has raised her hand in affirmation. We are unanimous. Next up, item 3 is emergency transportation resolution. Whereas the district is faced with an unforeseen circumstance, when it recently learned that BOCES would not be able to provide transportation for the district summer school for summer 23, and whereas the district summer school began and required transportation to commence on July 10th of 2023, which did not allow sufficient time for the district to competitively bid the required transportation runs, and whereas the board approved the first emergency transportation contract on July 6th, 2023, and there still remains a need for additional 8 days under a second emergency transportation contract. And whereas education law permits a board of education to award an emergency transportation contract without competitive bidding not to exceed 1 month, and subsequent second emergency contract without competitive bidding not to exceed 1 month. And be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby determines that an emergency exists as would satisfy education law, and resolved that the Board of Ed hereby authorizes the superintendent and/or assistant superintendent to enter into the necessary emergency contract not to exceed 1 month with Brown SDA at a cost of $2,250. I get a motion to accept that. Art? Second? Joel? Any discussion?
Maybe I missed it. Why weren't they able to do this posting?
It was a very late in the day notification, and I think it had everything to do with availability of drivers.
And the way that SED works when we do emergency transportation contracts, we're only allowed to let the first contractor for 31 days. And so it's part of the process that they require us to do a second emergency contract for the next phase. And this is primarily for our special ed students that go an additional 8 days from our regular summer school program that end this week.
But we could do this with Browns.
Yes.
This was
Yes.
definitely a BOCES bus driver available issue. They're not recommended to start.
Okay. Did I go on that? No. Okay. All right. All those in favor? Okay. That's unanimous. Mark is in favor of the board. Action items, personnel. So we start with the term appointment of Daniel Adorno, mathematics teacher. I'm looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the term appointment of Daniel Adorno as a mathematics teacher effective August 29th, 2023 through June 30th, 2024, at a salary of $49,931. I get a motion? Will, second, Jen. Any discussion? All those in favor? Raise your hand. Okay, we are in favor, unanimous. Is Daniel here? So then we have number 2, a term appointment for Stephen Pratt. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the term appointment of Stephen Pratt, science teacher, effective August 29th through June 30th, 2024, at a salary of $80,000. Can I get a motion to accept? Yeah, second, Will. Any discussion?
Now, was he already in that position?
He was, so he's coming back for another year, but he wanted to negotiate a higher rate. Science is, we didn't get any responses for science.
Is that a union position?
This one will not be, it's a term position, it is a union position, yes, but we were unable to fill it. And I'm not comfortable going too many more weeks.
So there's no issue with the union?
He technically won't be a member of the union. And he's not taking the shot.
And what science is he teaching?
I believe he's teaching chemistry, no,
Living.
say it again?
Living.
Living environment.
Okay. Moving on to term appointment.
Pat, can you hear us? No.
I'm just trying to.
We have a term appointment of Cindy Hayes as a mathematics teacher. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation.
We got one on.
Oh.
Okay.
All right, let's rewind. Any further discussion on Mr. Pratt? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, we're in favor, and unanimous. All right, fast forward to term appointment of Cindy Hayes as mathematics teacher. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation to approve term appointment of Cindy Hayes as a mathematics teacher effective August 29th, 23 through June 30th, 24, at a salary of $70,000. Can I get a motion? Art, second, Phil. Any discussion?
Where did she come from? This is her third year with us as a retired teacher. We've been unable to find her.
What level would you be?
Scott, you want to answer?
So she's doing pretty on, and she does, 2 elective math courses. But she came to us from Fauna. She's had Fauna for many years.
Any further questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. We are unanimous, and marriage is approved. Next up is the term appointment of Veronica Swart, Spanish teacher. Looking for a motion to accept the recommendation to approve the term appointment of Veronica Swart, a Spanish teacher, effective August 29th, 23 through June 30th, 24, the salary of $70,000. Motion. Well, second. Jen? Any discussion?
It's the same question, where she,
She's 2 years into retirement from Bayfield.
from the,
Yeah, that's what
We're lucky to have.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, 7-0.
Could I just add?
Sure.
I think the board needs to know that we have actively for 3 months been advertising these positions, and so without any candidates, we're really lucky to have all of our positions filled.
what level will she be teaching?
Should we do 4 and 5?
4 and 5?
All right, next up is the probationary appointment of Elizabeth Lehman, music teacher. This is to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the probationary appointment of Elizabeth Lehman as music teacher in the music tenure area effective August 29th, 23 for a 3-year term, tentatively scheduled to conclude on August 28th, 2026, contingent upon successful completion of the probationary term and receiving composite or overall annual professional performance review ratings of either effective or highly effective in at least 2 of the 3 preceding years, and a rating higher than ineffective at the conclusion of the 25-26 school year. Certification is music transitional. I'm not sure what the G stands for. Designation. Oh, I see. It's music transitional G. Okay. Salary will be at step E2 of the salary schedule pursuant to the contractual agreement between JTA and Grand National School District. Fingerprint review has been completed, and receipt of the clearance certificate by the Commissioner of Education is on file. Can I get a motion to accept Ms. Newman's candidacy? Ron, can I get a second? Jen? Any discussion? All those in, what's that?
So, Betsy is her second year with us, first of all. She's taken the position vacated by Cindy Fiorenza. We've done some reassignments, so Betsy will be covering Abby McCann's maternity leave in fall until through Thanksgiving at the high school, because that's her specialty area. And she'll be returning back to Pleasant Avenue for pre-K music instruction. And then I think you also will approve a extended leave sub for the Pleasant Avenue vacancy by her. So we're trying to get people in the right places. Betsy ultimately will be pre-K.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, we are unanimous, 7 all in favor. Okay, next up is the probationary appointment of Benjamin Russo, health teacher. This is to accept the recommendation to approve the probationary appointment of Benjamin Russo as health teacher in the health tenure area effective August 29, 23 for a 4-year term, tentatively scheduled to conclude on August 28, 27, contingent upon successful completion of the probationary term, and receiving composite or overall annual professional performance review ratings of either effective or highly effective at least 2 of the 3 preceding years, and rating higher than ineffective at the conclusion of the 26-27 school year. The certification is in health education initially, with physical education initially as well. Salary will be at step C2 of the salary schedule pursuant to the contractual agreement between the Johnstown Teachers Association and the Greater Johnstown School District. Fingerprint review has been completed, and receipt of the clearance certificate by the Commissioner of Education is on file. Can I get a motion to accept? Art, Will, second. Any further discussion? Can I get a vote then? All those in favor, please raise your hand. 7-0 in favor. So I'd like to extend congratulations to Ben Russo for joining the show. Okay. Next up, probationary appointment of Rebecca Cornell, physical education teacher. This is to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the probationary appointment of Rebecca Cornell as physical education teacher in the physical education tenure area effective August 29th of 23 for a 4-year term initially scheduled to conclude on August 28th of 27, contingent upon successful completion of the probationary term and receiving composite overall annual professional review. Performance review ratings of either effective or highly effective in at least 2 of the 3 preceding years, and rating higher than ineffective at the conclusion of 26-27 school year. Certification is physical education initial and health education supplementary. Salary will be at step C3 salary schedule pursuant to the contractual agreement between the Johnstown Teachers Association and the Greater Johnstown School District. Fingerprint review has been completed, and receipt of the clearance certificate by the Commissioner of Education is on file. So, can I get a motion? Well, second? Joel? Any discussion?
We all are always in need of coaches. We know she'll be coaching any sports too.
Her specialty is track and running. What if she wants to coach? If there's availability. She's a pretty passionate health teacher, but she's also very passionate. She'll be at Knox primarily, and she's doing our 12-in-1 classroom, self-contained classrooms for health and visit, and then at Warren Street as well at 12-in-1 there. And she'll be doing some help at Knox as well.
Okay.
Long answer to your question, she's a great passion.
She from around?
She's in Fort Johnson.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, unanimous, 7-0 in favor. Next up is the modification and extension of employment agreement for Dr. William Crankshaw, Superintendent of Schools. This is to extend the employment of Dr. William Crankshaw as a Superintendent of Schools between 30th and 2027. To approve a modified and extended contract of employment between the Greater Johnstown School District and Dr. Crankshaw dated August 2nd, 23, to approve payment thereunder and authorizing the board president to execute the same. Can I get a motion to accept? Will, second, Jen. Any discussion?
Yes. I negotiate contracts for the U.S. government, Raytheon, and the banks, right? And a good negotiation is when both sides get. This looks like it's all one-sided. exactly what he asked for. That's the first thing I have to say. And the second thing, the contract is now open-ended for potential costing the district additional hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So I'm going to ask if Dr. Crenshaw would like to address that anyway before I address it.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So from my perspective, I think that's skewing the notion of what it is we're doing. So Dr. Crenshaw and his team put in a substantial amount of time and effort in their responsibilities to carry out the educational program of this district, day in, day out, without compromise. And I feel that the initial contract that was offered to him was an opportunity to take a benefit away from a valuable employee at the start of his employment when most other districts offer this and every other employee in the district enjoys that opportunity. So I see this as an opportunity to correct that and provide a fair and honest opportunity for him to provide security for himself and his family. That's my perspective on it. I'm open to hearing what anybody else has to say about it.
Was a contract in place. Now this contract is costing us, well, gonna cost the district hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So as I
It's
said,
now open-ended.
the contract is one part of an overall budget that we maintain for these benefits. And, segregating Dr. Crenshaw from that framework, I think, is an unfair kind of perspective and position to take when we're relying on this individual to lead us through, a lot of stuff.
Are you denying that this is gonna cost?
No, I'm not denying it's gonna cost money at all, Art. What I'm saying is that the value that you're putting on it is, I think, being presented in a manner that makes it sound like it is somehow unusual and out of the normal kind of framework that a superintendent would be provided benefits. And I think it's consistent with what many, many school districts do. And so, therefore, I think we're actually correcting something that was done incorrectly before. Yep, it is my point. Okay, so with that, we have a motion, we have a second? Okay, so I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, 6. All those opposed? 1. Thank you. All right, we have the probationary appointment of Karen McClellan, licensed practitioner, or LPN, who's gonna say LPN. This is a green sheet item, added at the last minute. So this is to accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the probationary appointment of Karen McClellan as LPN, 10 months per year, $35,000 annually, prorated effective August 28th, 23, pursuant to the Civil Service Employees Association collective bargaining agreement. So can I get a motion to accept? Art, second, Jen. Any discussion?
So she is going to be primarily based at Pleasant, supporting BK and K students, but she's also going to be the nurse that's available for district coverage.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? 7-0, we are unanimous. Okay, any general board discussion? Yes? Oh, we do have another green sheet. Oh, my apologies.
And there's actually a correction in that the probationary term should be 4 years and then in 2027.
Not 26. Okay, so this is the probationary appointment of Elizabeth Flanders as art teacher. This is to accept the recommendation to approve the probationary appointment of Elizabeth Lehman. Wait, this is Elizabeth, sorry, should be Flanders. Sorry. Okay. As art teacher, so Elizabeth Flanders as art teacher in the art tenure area effective August 29th, 23, for a 3-year term tentatively scheduled to conclude in August.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
This one was really last minute. I was changing up the
Okay, let me start over. To accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the probationary appointment of Elizabeth Flanders as art teacher in the art tenure area effective August 29th of 23 for a 4-year term tentatively scheduled to conclude on August 28th of 2027, contingent upon successful completion of the probationary term and receiving composite and overall annual professional performance review ratings of either effective or highly effective in at least 2 of the 3 preceding years, and a rating higher than ineffective at the conclusion of the 25-26 school year.
That should be 26, 27.
26-27 school year. This is the certification visual arts initial. Salary will be at step C4 of the salary schedule pursuant to the contract between JTA and the Greater Johnstown School District. The fingerprint review has been completed and receipt of the clearance certificate by the Commissioner of Education is on file. Can I get a motion to accept? Joelle, second? Jen? Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right, you're unanimous, 7-0. That concludes the front end of our agenda. Well, is there any board discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we can break for the board training retreat. So we're 3 minutes ahead of schedule. So we can move on.
Yeah. We're gonna break from public session for this.
Okay.
In public session.
All right, so we need to vote.
I'll send them.
Okay. What's that?
Do you need a motion?
Yes. Okay. All right. Will, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, we are unanimous, so we will go out of public session into